Sparks, who just passed away this past June, last month, near a month ago, this is one from him that he made to me.
Don, I just now getting around to answering your tape. Sort of cloud in, a little cooler up here today with October coming on us now, and what had been about 72 at night is down to about 65 at night. Good sleeping weather. And in the 80s instead of up in the 90s during the day. I should be out there with a lawnmower cutting down some weeds on my dogs, but the older I get, the less ambition I get, it seems. You're talking about your daughter address and envelopes. Years ago, I used to have trouble addressing envelopes. I'd get friends of mine to address them, and it was surprising the number of mistakes that some people could make. Had some that had a city written down in a different state, had the city over in a different state or so on. And of course, where you know the people and you see the address, it comes to you right away. You see an image of their face in your mind. That all helps, but when you're writing strange names and strange addresses, like you see Cleveland, Mississippi, not easy maybe to write Cleveland, Ohio, or something like that. And then again, maybe I'm a little different from other people. I went into the Kansas Animal Hospital here not long ago to get health certificate for a pup I was shipping out to Detroit, Michigan. And the girl at the reception counter, she was making out the certificate. She asked me where was the pup going, and I said Detroit. And she didn't know what state Detroit was in. And one of her excuses was it should never been out of the state of Florida. Well, to me, that was no excuse, because I asked her, I said, well, didn't you go to school? Didn't you study geography? You don't know where Detroit is? Well, she said there was a nice-looking boy sitting alongside of her in class, and she didn't learn much in geography. I told her, I said, well, maybe I've got advantage on you that most any town east of the Mississippi, regardless of how small it is, I've been there, so I know where it is. After 30, 40 years traveling around the country to the carnival years ago, and then with the dog shows and dog fights, I've covered just about everything from Key West to Toronto, and from Boston to Phoenix, Arizona. But maybe I'm expecting too much of this younger crowd. I don't know. But I used to try to get some help to fold and stuff the envelopes, and I used to send them out in small envelopes where you had to fold them. And I found out it's easier in the long run to use a big envelope, and maybe I have to pay a little more postage than it is to try to fold them up and stuff them in a small envelope. In those days, I used to put out pages, magazines of 16 or 20 pages there, and now I don't get them out very often, so they're usually 32 pages, 36 pages, or something like that, and it has to be a larger envelope. You mentioned you're building some dog cages. I've been using dog cages for a good many years for my pups. I don't think much of the idea of keeping a grown dog up in these cages. It might be all right where you're working a dog, I don't believe a dog gets enough exercise in a cage to have to spend his life in one of them. Now, I've got a Colby bitch here that got her leg, got her hip broken, hit by a car when she was about 5 months old, had to have a pin in it. And I've kept her in a cage all her life. She's going to be 7 years old in December. I didn't want her to get too much exercise. But the most of my dogs are in pens or on chain. I have about a dozen pens, I guess I'd say. And I have maybe 6 or 8 cages. Now, you mentioned your cages are up about 3 feet off the ground. Mine are 30 inches. That seems to be a good working height, so about the height of an ordinary table. And I use 4x4s for the corner posts and 2x4s for the framework. But when you use plywood, I use this expanded metal. That lets the drop-ins and the urine go on through. And if you get the expanded metal with a 3/4 inch opening, your dog's feet will get caught in it, and you get the smooth finish. There's one kind has a rough finish, and there's one that has a smooth finish. It's sort of ground down to where it's smooth. And sheets come 4 by 8 sheets, they're about $10 a sheet. And then for the roof, I found out it's cheaper in the long run to use sheet metal and put over the whole roof. And let it slope to the back. And that keeps the rain off the dog. And it also keeps the rain off of the woodwork, the frame of your pen, and off of this expanded metal, and keeps it from rusting out so bad. Now, Strickland up in Moultrie, he builds cages. He puts the chain link fencing around his. And maybe it would be better if you did that, because a grown dog, or even a good-sized pup, can chew through this 2x4 welded link pretty easy. But you can't get that chain link, I don't think, in anything smaller than 3 foot high. So you'd have to build your cages, I suppose, 3 foot high to use that. But that would be better and would certainly last a whole lot longer if you use a chain link instead of a 2x4 mesh wire. For pups, I use a 2x4 wire, but even some of them, if you keep them up in order to 4 or 5 months old, some of those can break that wire. You got to hold it sideways, you know, and put it down and they'll break it at the weld. I have one litter of pups here that are down on the ground. I don't like it. Most of mine up in the air, but I say on the ground. I've got cement blocks laid flat on the ground for a floor. But I can't keep it clean and keep the hookworms out of it. I know, but I've got all my cages filled, and no matter to build any additional ones right now. You mentioned now that Weaver had rented the seats. I thought maybe he built those or had them built for the occasion. They certainly were nice. And all I could find was made them out of hard pine, come out of hard, sitting on them there for several hours. Some young fellow there that must have been helping around there dug up a sleeping bag or something out there somewhere before the fight started. Brought it over there for me to sit on. And I sat on that for, half the night or more, I guess, and then Weaver sent the same fellow over, said he wanted his sleeping bag, he wanted to take a nap. I told the fellow, tell him he could have it back when the fight was over, because I didn't want to give it up and sit on those hard boards. So finally, sometime during the early morning hours, between fights, I got up and went to get a sandwich and take a leak or something. And when I come back, they had swiped my seat away from me and left me with a old hard board to sit on. Well, I'd gotten so cold, I hadn't brought a jacket along with me, and I meant to try to buy one, but never did get a chance to get to any of the stores. And I did have an extra shirt with me, and I put that on, and finally somebody, maybe Weaver's wife or somebody, loaned me a sweater. But I got cold, and I got stiff. I got so stiff I couldn't hardly climb back up on those bleachers after I'd once get off. After the sun got up and got warmed up a little bit, I sort of thawed out a little. But I tell you, it got a little rough along there in the wee hours of the morning. And still sitting right in front of me, loaned me one of those little square stadium seats, I guess it was. I don't know who those fellows were. There were two young fellows, looked like they were brothers. They sort of round faced. One of them was wearing a bright red outfit. And I think their father was along with them. He was an old gentleman. So they sit over there in front of me. All three of them did, and I had a couple of girls with them. I believe they came in a camper. He had a cane, and he made a couple of canes. He gave me one of them. I thought someone said his name was Martin, but I didn't get their name. I wondered if you'd know who they were. Anyway, he gave me a cane made out of a billiard cue. I didn't particularly need a cane, but I thought, well, he wanted to give me one, well, I'd take it. Walter Komazinski made some canes a few years ago, and I was up there and he gave me one, and he rigged up a method of steaming them, and burns the wood while it's under steam pressure or something, and gets the crook of the handle there, and he used a cane all the time when he's walking around there working the dogs. I don't think he needs to carry a cane, but maybe just likes to have one in his hand or something, so to steady him along. You told me in your tape about how good the fights were going to be. They were good fights. Each time I come to Dallas, I say, well, that's the last time I'm ever going back to Texas. When I was down in San Antonio this last time, Carver didn't take me out to see his dogs, and if it hadn't been for Bobby Smith, or whatever his name was, I wouldn't go out there at all, but he took me out, and Carter tried to apologize this last time in Dallas about not showing me around, said he was busy and worked up over the convention and everything like that, but I'm sure if he came up here to my place, I wouldn't just sit in the yard under a tree and let him go around and look at the dogs by himself. I think I'd get out there and show him the dogs, and I'd be proud enough of their breeding to go around and tell him what I had, but maybe he's a little more calloused that way than what I would be. I fell stop you all the time, and I have to stop in the middle of my feeding or watering or cleaning up around the dog or whatever it is. Take them around, show them, maybe takes as much as an hour. But I enjoy doing it because it's my hobby, and I'm proud of the breeding, and I figure the more people that knows about my dogs, why the better. Don Devine stopped by here the other evening. He was on his way to Kentucky, he and his wife, and he didn't talk like he had anything matched, but I got notice from Mayo about 5 or 6 matches up there in Mississippi, 28th of October, and he's got Don Devine against Jordan again. And if Don Devine was matched, I think he would have mentioned it because we were talking about different fights that he'd had and so on, and he said that he would have matched a dog down there in Dallas, but they never did write and tell him anything about it and asked for weights. Said they sent him a notice after the matches were made, but didn't tell him anything about it before. Of course, I guess they had so many matches all lined up, they couldn't have taken any more anyway. Of course, I think as many as they had, they should have made it a 2-day affair like we used to have in Lafayette. They could have started Saturday afternoon or something and fought 5 or 6 of them and knocked out, and get some sleep and come back Sunday morning and work it out all day or something like that. When I came into Dallas, coming back from El Paso, where I went down there to see my brother, I hadn't been in the airport 5 minutes, I guess, until I ran into Rick Fowler and his father and a couple of those boys from St. Louis. And they were there waiting. They had come in on an earlier flight and got a rental car, but they were down there waiting for Clyde Mason. So I just sat around there and waited. They had about an hour to wait. I just sat around there and waited and talked with them until Clyde Mason came in and rode back to the motel with them. And I hung around there at the motel until the car started taking off for the pit. I rode out to the pit with them in this rented car. Frank Meadows was there with a November Surf in a pickup. Invited me to ride along with him, but I told him that these boys would be looking for me and I couldn't go with him. And I came back after the fights to the motel with them. And my brother has a granddaughter who lives there in Dallas, married and has grown-up children. I say grown-up, about 18 years old. And I hadn't seen her in 20 years, I guess. So after I got back to the motel, I called her, and she sent her daughter down to pick me up, and seems they were expecting me. Her parents had called and said I was coming my way. And they were having a birthday dinner for a girl next door, so I got in on a good feed Sunday night. First time I had since I left my brother's Friday night. And then they took me to the airport to get my plane out. And I was getting in here about 2 o'clock in the morning, and John Shriver was supposed to meet me. Well, I called him and his phone rang and he didn't answer, so I called Joe Nelson. He don't live very far from the airport either. And he had told me before I left that he'd meet me, so he came in and got me and brought me back home. I got out here about 5 o'clock, 5:30 maybe, Monday morning, and laid down, take a nap, and my good barber friend came in about 6:30 to start feeding, and woke me up when he came in the back door, so I called out to him that I was home and I'd feed, so he went on back home. So I rolled over to another little nap. About 7:30, 8 o'clock, I got up and fed and cleaned up around here and got back on the job again. You say in your tape that the pit was within 100 miles of Dallas. I think it might have been within 100 miles, but it was getting pretty close. It must have been better than 75 miles anyway. I know they went through Sherman on the way there, and somebody told me that stream of water there right back of the pit was the Red River, which I understand divides Texas and Oklahoma. So it's a wonder to me he just didn't go out across the river while he was at it and had him over in Oklahoma. But I guess it must have been on somebody's farm there. Maybe Red Martin might have had a hand in choosing that site since he lives up in that part of the country. You told me that Hansel and Greenwood were going to be there, but I didn't see the one of them. There was a Frank Ward there from Salt Lake City that I hadn't seen in maybe 20 years. I would have liked to have seen Ralph Greenwood, talk to him about his registration stud book and so on like that. I'm getting some letters from a fellow named Peck up there that are talking about putting out a book. About once a year, give pedigrees and pictures, rundowns on the dogs, the winning dogs and so on. And I guess it'll be worth it. He says $5 a copy. I don't know. He ought to ask more, I believe. Maybe it's just going to be a magazine, something on the order of what you and I are putting out, but I think if I was going to put it out, I'd ask a little bit more money for it and have a hard cover put on it, something that'll last, because it'll be a ready reference to something like that. I one time wanted to publish an index. Pet Dogs magazine back for the 20 years. But that's a terrible job to go through and make up an index. And there was a fellow out in California by the name of Tannehill that was getting a little interested in the dogs here a few years ago. And I gave him a complete set of the magazines. And he was to make me up an index. Well, I told him to fly out on 3 by 5 cards, just go through the beginning and write them up as he went through. Well, he made up a set of cards for me and only listed the winners. He didn't list the losers. So the index is only half complete. And I never did go any further with it. And I can't very well publish it like it is. And I don't know anyone who has the time or the energy to go through and complete it. It would be a very valuable book, I think, if it was written up just as an index, sort of like a separate issue of a magazine, maybe. But as I say, I don't have the time. I'm too lazy or something. I go to Stark about noontime and post office and store. I come back and I lay down here on the bed, read the paper, and I'm lying here now dictating this, and it's about 4 o'clock. already, and I've got to get up and start feeding pretty soon. I've got a bitch coming in from Canada tonight, this afternoon sometime, and I'm going to have to go pick it up tonight or first thing in the morning. I've had quite a bit of car trouble here lately. I got an old Rambler out of the junkyard, and I had to have some work done on it. And I've just got it running again now, so I can go get to the bitch, I guess. But next thing I'm going to do is get some tires. These are about shot. Well, here it is.
That was very much vintage Pete Sparks. Pete was that was really Pete. In a sense of, I was listening to it there as I was copying it over on this audio, and it was just so much of who Pete Sparks was. I mean, he was really telling you his lifestyle. He was really showing himself to be who he was. It used to be quite a talk around all the people around the pit side. Pat Carver used to tell stories about how Pete Sparks, that he would be great to have on TV commercials and be as a constipated old man that needed some diarrhea medicine, some constipation medicine. She used to say of Pete, said, "Oh, Pete looked like he ain't took a shit in a month." He was a very prune-faced person. He was a very sour person, and his lifestyle was he was prune-faced and he was sour, but at the same time he was very interesting and well-liked amongst everybody. Everybody really liked him, but it was like a little bit of Pete could go a long ways, real easy. And he was always known to put the hit on somebody. He was always putting the mooch on somebody. He was a very moochable type of a person. He expected everybody to pay his way. But he was quite an interesting person. He just told about some of his life there. But he was well thought of in the game as someone. Everybody always deal with Pete, and they had lots of things to say about him, and they wasn't all negative and they wasn't all positive. They was just one thing or the other. But at the same time, he was a well-liked man all through his years. But this audio is just very much Pete Sparks, and that audio was made back in October of '72, and I think it was right after the matches. It was probably within a week or just a matter of days after the matches that was held on the Red River when Tombstone went against Bully Son Jr. And it was that show there is the one he was talking about, and it was right on a fork of the Red River and another river, small river that joined the Red River, and we was right out on the V-shaped cliff on each side, all around the pit and everything. It wasn't 100 feet from the pit on two different sides. It was a cliff that went straight down about 75 to 100 feet, just almost straight down, of clay and sand that went down to the water. And at that particular show, we had some trouble there, and a little misunderstanding broke loose between Benny Clayton and Jim Usselton. And there was a couple of shots fired, and there was a number of people that broke and run, and getting out of the way. And I knew we'll forget it. Me and Bobby Hall was sitting out in my truck with Tombstone, fixing to take Tombstone to the wash tub. We had just got through weighing him, and we were sitting there waiting for him to be washed. People got to breaking and running, darting off out of the lights, and it was at night. And after it was all over with and settled and everything taken care of and everything, and we got the dogs going and back in the pit for an hour or so there was people. It was more than an hour or so. It was that there was different ones that had run off of that cliff, fell down that cliff, and the way the cliff was shaped, it was at such an angle that went down right down to the water, and a person would just absolutely roll and tumble. And I forget who it was, but one little boy had went off in that cliff, and he had just collected on a bet. He had two $100 bills stuffed in his top pocket, and said he had a drink in one hand, and said he was running out across there in the dark, and all of a sudden he fell off that cliff, and said he went all the way down to the bottom. Said he lost the $200. Said the first thing he did when he got to the bottom and hit that water was grab for his pocket, and said them $200 was gone. Somebody asked him, said, "Did you spill your drink?" And he said, "Not a drop, not a drop." But he had dirt all over him. There were several of them that had fell off in that cliff, and it took a while to climb back up, you know. But it wasn't a deathly type of cliff, but it was at a pretty good angle and went down to the water, and it was just in that part of the country, it's just all sand and clay to the part. It wasn't grown up with trees or weeds or anything like that. It was just a dirt cliff that went down to the water. But it was quite an interesting show. There was some good dogs match there. But this is all very much what the game's about. Just like that last audio there with Don Maloney and Maurice Carver and Earl Tudor and Frank Fitzwater, and now this one with Earl Tudor and Pete Sparks. Then it's so much the map. Understanding to prove truth. That's more or less what the game dog game is about.